Second Adham and YaHUaH. Chapter 1. When Luluah heard Cain's words, she wept and went to call her father and mother and told them how Cain had killed his brother Hevel. Then they all cried aloud and lifted up their voices and slapped their faces and threw dust upon their heads and ripped their garments apart and went out and came to the place where Hevel was killed. And they found him lying on the earth, killed, and beasts were around him. They wept and cried because he was a just person. Because his body was pure, from it went forth a smell of sweet spices. And Adham carried him as Adham's tears streaming down his face, and he went to the cave of treasures, where he laid Hevel, and Adham wound him up with sweet spices and myrrh. And Adham and YaHUaH continued in great grief by the burial site for 140 days. Hevel was 15.5 years old, and Cain 17 years and a half. When the mourning for his brother was ended, Cain took his sister Luluah and married her without permission from his father and mother. Because of their heavy hearts, they could not keep him from her. He then went down to the foot of the mountain, away from the garden, near the place where he had killed his brother. And in that place were many fruit trees and forest trees. His sister gave birth to his children, who in their turn began to multiply by degrees until they filled that place. But Adham and YaHUaH did not come together for 7 years after Hevel's funeral. After this, however, YaHUaH conceived. And while she was with child, Adham said to her, "Come, let us take an offering and offer it up unto Elohim and ask him to give us a beautiful child in whom we may find comfort and whom we may join in marriage to Hevel's sister." Then they prepared an offering and brought it up to the altar and offered it before YaHUaH and began to ask him to accept their offering and to give them a good offspring. And Elohim heard Adham and accepted his offering. Then Adham, YaHUaH, and their daughter worshipped, and came down to the cave of treasures and placed a lamp in it by the body of Hevel to burn by the body night and day. Then Adham and YaHUaH continued fasting and praying until YaHUaH's time came that she should be delivered, when she said to Adham, "I wish to go to the cave in the rock to give birth in it." And he said, "Go and take your daughter with you to wait on you, but I will remain in this cave of treasures before the body of my son Hevel." Then YaHUaH listened to Adham, and she and her daughter left, but Adham remained by himself in the cave of treasures. Second Adham and YaHUaH. Chapter 2. And YaHUaH gave birth to a son, perfectly beautiful in form and in demeanor. His beauty was like that of his father Adham, yet more beautiful. Then YaHUaH was comforted when she saw him, and remained 8 days in the cave. Then she sent her daughter unto Adham to tell him to come and see the child and name him. But the daughter stayed in his place by the body of her brother until Adham returned. But when Adham came and saw the child's good looks, his beauty, and his perfect form, he rejoiced over him and was comforted for Hevel. Then he named the child Sheth, which means that Elohim has heard my prayer and has delivered me out of my affliction, but it means also power and strength. Then after Adham had named the child, he returned to the cave of treasures, and his daughter went back to her mother. But YaHUaH continued in her cave until 40 days were fulfilled, when she came to Adham and brought with her the child and her daughter. And they came to a river of water where Adham and his daughter washed themselves because of their sorrow for Hevel. But YaHUaH and the babe washed for purification. Then they returned and took an offering and went to the mountain and offered it up for the babe. And Elohim accepted their offering and sent his barakah upon them and upon their son Sheth, and they came back to the cave of treasures. As for Adham, he did not have intercourse again with his wife YaHUaH all the days of his life. Neither was any more offspring born of them, but only those 5, Cain, Luluah, Hevel, Ecliah, and Sheth alone. But Sheth waxed in stature and in strength, and began to fast and pray fervently. 2 YaHUsHa and YaHUaH, Chapter 3. At the end of 7 years from the day YaHUsHa had been separated from his wife YaHUaH, Satan envied him, and when he saw YaHUsHa was separated from her, Satan strove to make him live with her again. Then YaHUsHa arose and went up above the cave of treasures and continued to sleep there night by night. But every day, as soon as it was light, he came down to the cave to pray there and to receive a barakah from it. But when it was evening, he went up on the top of the cave where he slept by himself, fearing that Satan could overcome him. And he continued apart in this way for 39 days. Then when Satan, the hater of all that is good, saw YaHUsHa alone, fasting and praying, he appeared unto him in the form of a beautiful woman, who came and stood in front of him in the night of the 40th day, and said to him, YaHUsHa, from the time you have dwelt in this cave, we have experienced great peace from you, and your prayers have reached us, and we have been comforted because of you. But now, YaHUsHa, that you have gone up over the roof of the cave to sleep, we have had doubts about you, and a great sorrow has come upon us because of your separation from YaHUaH. Then again, when you are on the roof of this cave, your prayer is poured out, and your heart wanders from side to side. But when you were in the cave, your prayer was like fire gathered together. It came down to us, and you found rest. Then I also worried over your children who are separated from you, and my sorrow is great about the murder of your son Hevel, because he was righteous, and over a righteous man everyone will grieve. But I rejoiced over the birth of your son Sheth. But after a little while I sorrowed greatly over YaHUaH, because she is my sister. For when Elohim sent a deep sleep over you, and drew her out of your side, he brought me out with her. But he raised her by placing her with you, while he lowered me. I rejoiced over my sister for her being with you, but Elohim had made me a promise before, and said, Do not grieve when YaHUsHa has gone up on the roof of the cave of treasures, and is separated from YaHUaH his wife. I will send you to him, and you shall join yourself to him in marriage, and bear 5 children for him, as YaHUaH gave him 5 children. And now look, Elohim's promise to me is fulfilled, because it is he who has sent me to you for the wedding. Because if you wed me, I shall bear you finer and better children than those of YaHUaH. You are still young. Do not end your youth in this world in sorrow. Spend the days of your youth in happiness and pleasure. Your days are few, and your trials have been great. Be strong and end your days in this world in rejoicing. I shall take pleasure in you, and you shall rejoice with me in this way, and without fear. Get up and fulfill the command of your Elohim. She then came near YaHUsHa and embraced him. But when YaHUsHa saw that he was going to be overcome by her, he prayed to Elohim with a fervent heart to deliver him from her. Then Elohim sent his word to YaHUsHa, saying, YaHUsHa, that apparition is the one that promised you the Almighty and Majesty. He does not intend good for you, but shows himself to you at one time in the form of a woman, and in another moment in the likeness of a messenger, and on other occasions in the apparition of a serpent, and at another time in the semblance of an Elohim. But he does all of this only to destroy your being. YaHUsHa, now that you understand this in your heart, you will see that I have delivered you many a time from his hands, in order to show you that I am a merciful Elohim. I wish you good, and I do not wish your ruin. 2 YaHUsHa and YaHUaH, Chapter 4. Then Elohim ordered Satan to show himself to YaHUsHa in his own hideous form, plainly. But when YaHUsHa saw him, he feared and trembled at the sight of him. And Elohim said to YaHUsHa, Look at this devil, and at his hideous sight, and know that he it is who made you fall from brightness into darkness, from peace and rest to toil and misery. And look at him, YaHUsHa. He is the one who said that he is Elohim. Can Elohim be dark? Would Elohim take the form of a woman? Is there anyone stronger than Elohim, and can he be overpowered? See YaHUsHa, look at him bound in your presence in the air, unable to flee away. So I say to you, do not be afraid of him. From now on, take care and beware of him. He will try to do things to you. Then Elohim drove Satan away from Adham, and Elohim strengthened Adham's heart and comforted him, saying, "Go down to the cave of treasures, and do not separate yourself from YaHUaH. I will quiet all of your animal lust." From that hour it left Adham and YaHUaH, and they enjoyed rest by the commandment of Elohim. But Elohim did not do the same to any of Adham's seed. Elohim did this only to Adham and YaHUaH. Then Adham worshipped before YaHUaH for delivering him and for having subdued his passions. And he came down from above the cave and lived with YaHUaH as had done before. This ended the 40 days of his separation from YaHUaH. Second Adham and YaHUaH. Chapter 5. When Sheth was 7 years old, he knew good and evil and was consistent in fasting and praying and spent all his nights in praying to Elohim for mercy and forgiveness. He also fasted when bringing up his offering every day. He fasted more than his father did because his demeanor was beautiful, like that of a messenger of Elohim. He also had a good heart, and his being was precious, and for this reason he brought up his offering every day, and Elohim was pleased with his offering, but he was also pleased with his purity. And he continued doing the will of Elohim and of his father and mother until he was 7 years old. After that, as he was coming down from the altar, after giving his offering, Satan appeared to him in the form of a beautiful messenger, brilliant with light, with a staff of light in his hand, and wrapped with a girdle of light. He greeted Sheth with a beautiful smile, and began to beguile him with beautiful words, saying to him, "Sheth, why do you live in this mountain? It is rough, full of stones and sand, and trees with no good fruit on them. It is a wilderness without houses or towns, no good place to live in, but everywhere there is heat, weariness, and trouble." He said further, "But we live in beautiful places in a world other than this earth. Our world is one of light, and we live in the best conditions. Our women are more beautiful than any others. Sheth, I wish you to marry one of them, because I see that you are handsome to look at. In this land there is not one woman good enough for you, and there are only 5 beings in it. But in our world there are many men and many young, unmarried women, all more beautiful one than the other. So I wish to remove you from here so that you may see my relations and be wedded to whichever you like. You shall live by me and be at peace. You shall be filled with splendor and light, just as we are. You shall remain in our world and rest from this world and its misery. You shall never again feel weak and weary. You shall never bring up an offering or appeal for mercy. You shall commit no more sin, nor be swayed by passions. And if you will listen to what I say, you shall wed one of my daughters, because to us it is not a sin, and it is not considered animal lust. For in our world we have no Elohim, because we all are Elohim, and we all are of the light and are of the Shamahim, powerful, strong, and radiant. Second Adham and YaHUaH. Chapter 6. When Sheth heard these words, he was amazed, and began to believe Satan's treacherous speech, and said to him, "You said there is another world created other than this one, and there are other creatures more beautiful than the creatures that are in this world." And Satan said, "Yes, you have heard me correctly, and I will tell you more good things about them and their ways." But Sheth said to him, "Your words have amazed me, and your beautiful description of it all. But I cannot go with you today, at least not until I've gone to my father Adham and to my mother YaHUaH, and told them all you have said to me. Then, if they give me permission to go with you, I will come." Sheth said, "I am afraid of doing anything without my father's and mother's permission. I do not want to perish like my brother Cain and like my father Adham, who transgressed the commandment of Elohim. But you know your way to this place, so come and meet me here tomorrow." When Satan heard this, he said to Sheth, "If you tell your father Adham what I have told you, he will not let you come with me, but listen to me. Do not tell your father and mother what I have said to you. Instead, come with me today. Come now to our world where you will see beautiful things and enjoy yourself there, and celebrate this day among my children, watching them and taking your fill of happiness, and have joy there. Then I shall bring you back to this place tomorrow. However, if you would rather stay there with me, so be it." Then Sheth answered, "The hope of my father and of my mother hangs on me, and if I hide from them one day they will die, and Elohim will hold me guilty of sinning against them. And if they know that I have come to this place, they assume it is to bring up my offering, and they would expect not to be separated from me 1 hour. Neither should I go to any other place unless they let me, but they treat me most kindly, because I always come back to them quickly." Then Satan said to him, "What will happen to you if you were to disappear from them one night and return to them at break of day?" But Sheth, when he saw how he kept on talking and that he wouldn't leave him alone, he ran and went up to the altar and spread his hands to Elohim and sought deliverance from Elohim. Then Elohim sent his word and cursed Satan, who fled from him. But Sheth had gone up to the altar, saying in his heart, "The altar is the place of offering, and Elohim is there. A divine fire shall consume what is on it, and so Satan will be unable to hurt me, and shall not take me away from here." Then Sheth came down from the altar and went to his father and mother, whom he found on his way, and who were longing to hear his voice, because he had been missing a while. He then began to tell them what had befallen him from Satan under the form of a messenger. But when Adham heard his account, he kissed his face and warned him against that messenger, telling him it was Satan who appeared to him. Then Adham took Sheth, and they went to the cave of treasures and rejoiced there. But from that day on, Adham and YaHUaH were never separated from him wherever he went, whether for his offering or for anything else. This sign happened to Sheth when he was 9 years old. 2 Adham and YaHUaH, chapter 7. When our father Adham saw that Sheth was of a perfect heart, he wished him to marry, lest the enemy should appear to him another time and overcome him. So Adham said to his son Sheth, "I wish, O my son, that you wed your sister Achliah, Hevel's sister, that she may bear you children, who shall replenish the earth, according to Elohim's promise to us. Be not afraid, my son, there is no disgrace in it. I wish you to marry, from fear that if you do not, the enemy could overcome you." Sheth, however, did not wish to marry, but in obedience to his father and mother he did not say a word. So Adham married him to Achliah, and he was 15 years old. But when he was 20 years of age, he had a son whom he called Enosh, and then had other children. Then Enosh grew up, married, and begat Kehinan. Kehinan also grew up, married, and begat Mahalalel. Those fathers were born during Adham's lifetime, and dwelt by the cave of treasures. Then were the days of Adham 930 years, and those of Mahalalel 100. But Mahalalel, when he was grown up, loved fasting, praying, and with hard work, until the end of our father Adham's days drew near. 2 Adham and YaHUaH, chapter 8. When our father Adham saw that his end was near, he called his son Sheth, who came to him in the cave of treasures, and he said to him, "Sheth, my son, bring me your children and your children's children, so that I may shed my barakah on them before I die." When Sheth heard these words from his father Adham, he went from him, shed a flood of tears over his face, and gathered together his children and his children's children, and brought them to his father Adham. But when our father Adham saw them around him, he wept at having to be separated from them. And when they saw him weeping, they all wept together, and kissed his face, saying, "How shall you be separated from us, Father? And how shall the earth receive you and hide you from our eyes?" Thus they lamented with words like these. Then our father Adham baraked them all, and said to Sheth, after he had baraked them, "Sheth, my son, you know this world, and that it is full of sorrow and of weariness, and you know all that has come upon us from our trials in it. So I command you in these words, I want you to keep being innocent, to be pure and just, and trusting in Elohim. And do not believe the words of Satan, nor the apparitions in which he will show himself to you, but keep the commandments that I give you this day. Then give the same to your son Enosh. And let Enosh give it to his son Kehanan, and Kehanan to his son Mahalaleel, so that this commandment abide firm among all your children. Sheth, my son, the moment I am dead, take my body and wrap it up with myrrh, aloes, and cassia, and leave me here in this cave of treasures, in which are all the tokens which Elohim gave us from the garden. My son, after a while a flood will come and overwhelm all creatures, and leave only 8 beings out of it. But, my son, let those whom it will leave from among your children at that time take my body with them out of this cave. And when they have taken it with them, let the oldest among them command his children to lay my body in a ship until the flood recedes, and they come out of the ship. Then they shall take my body and lay it in the middle of the earth, shortly after they have been saved from the waters of the flood. The place where my body shall be laid is the middle of the earth, and Elohim shall come from that place and shall save all our kindred. But now, Sheth, my son, place yourself at the head of your people. Tend to them and watch over them in the fear of Elohim. Lead them in the good way. Command them to fast to Elohim, and make them understand they should not listen to Satan, or he will destroy them. I tell you again, separate your children and your children's children from Cain's children. Do not let them ever mix with them, nor come near them either to talk or to work. Then Adham let his barakah descend upon Sheth and upon his children and upon all his children's children. He then turned to his son Sheth and to YaHUaH his wife, and said to them, Preserve this gold, this incense, and this myrrh that Elohim has given us for a sign, because in days that are coming a flood will overwhelm the whole creation. But those who shall go into the ark shall take with them the gold, the incense, and the myrrh together with my body, and will lay the gold, the incense, and the myrrh with my body in the middle of the earth. Then, after a long time, the city in which the gold, the incense, and the myrrh are found with my body shall be plundered. But when it is spoiled, the gold, the incense, and the myrrh shall be taken care of with the spoil that is kept, and none of them shall perish, until the maidman from the word of Elohim shall come. And sovereigns shall take them, and shall offer to him gold in token of his being sovereign, incense in token of his being the Bayan of Elohim of the Shahamahim and earth, and myrrh in token of his passion, gold also as a token of his overcoming Satan and all our foes, incense as a token that he will rise from the dead and be exalted above things in the Shahamahim and things in the earth, and myrrh in token that he will drink bitter gall and feel the pains of Gehinnom from Satan. And now, Sheth, my son, I have revealed to you hidden mysteries which Elohim had revealed to me. Keep my commandment for yourself and for your people. 2nd Adham and YaHUaH. Chapter 9. When Adham had ended his commandment to Sheth, his limbs went limp, his hands and feet lost all strength, his voice became silent, and his tongue ceased to speak. He closed his eyes and gave up the ghost. But when his children saw that he was dead, they threw themselves over him, men and women, old and young, weeping. The death of Adham took place at the end of 930 years that he lived upon the earth. On the 15th day of first month, after the reckoning of an epact of the sun at the 9th hour. It was on a 6th day, the very day on which he was created and on which he rested. And the hour at which he died was the same as that at which he came out of the garden. Then Sheth wrapped him up well and embalmed him with plenty of sweet spices from Kodesh trees and from the Kodesh mountain. And he laid his body on the eastern side of the inside of the cave, the side of the incense, and placed a lampstand in front of him that kept burning. Then his children stood before him weeping and wailing over him the entire night until break of day. Then Sheth and his son Enosh and Kahinan, the son of Enosh, went out and took good offerings to present to YaHUaH, and they came to the altar upon which Adham offered gifts to Elohim. But YaHUaH said to them, "Wait until we have first asked Elohim to accept our offering, and to keep the being of Adham his servant by him, and to take it up to rest." And they all stood up and prayed. 2 Adham and YaHUaH, chapter 10. And when they had ended their prayer, the word of Elohim came and comforted them concerning their father Adham. After this, they offered their gifts for themselves and for their father. And when they had ended their offering, the word of Elohim came to Sheth, the eldest among them, saying to him, "Sheth, Sheth, Sheth," 3 times. "As I was with your father, so also shall I be with you, until the fulfillment of the promise I made your father, saying, I will send my word and save you and your seed. But as to your father Adham, keep you the commandment he gave you, and protect your seed, and keep them from that of Cain your brother." And Elohim withdrew his word from Sheth. Then Sheth, YaHUaH, and their children came down from the mountain to the cave of treasures. But Adham was the first whose being died in the land of Eden in the cave of treasures. For no one died before him but his son Hevel, who died because he was murdered. Then all the children of Adham rose up and wept over their father Adham, and made offerings to him 140 days. 2 Adham and YaHUaH, chapter 11. After the death of Adham and of YaHUaH, Sheth separated his children and his children's children from Cain's children. Cain and his seed went down and lived to the west, below the place where he had killed his brother Hevel. But Sheth and his children lived to the north on the mountain of the cave of treasures, in order to be near to their father Adham. And Sheth, the oldest, tall and good, with a worthy being and of a strong mind, stood at the head of his people, and tended to them in innocence, patience, and meekness, and did not allow even one of them to go down to Cain's children. And because of their purity they were named children of Elohim, and they were with Elohim instead of the hosts of messengers who fell, for they continued in praises to Elohim and in singing songs to him in their cave, the cave of treasures. Then Sheth stood before the bodies of his father Adham and of his mother YaHUaH, and he prayed night and day and asked for mercy for himself and his children, and that when he had some difficulty dealing with a child, Elohim would give him counsel. But Sheth and his children did not like mundane work, but set themselves to do things of the Shamayim, because they had no other thought other than praises, worship, and Tehillim to Elohim. Therefore did they at all times hear the voices of messengers, praising and glorifying Elohim, from within the garden, or when they were sent by Elohim on an errand, or when they were going up to the Shamayim. Because of their own purity, Sheth and his children heard and saw the messengers. The garden was not far above them, only about 15 spiritual cubits. 1 spiritual cubit is equal to 3 cubits of man, altogether 45 cubits. Sheth and his children lived on the mountain below the garden. They did not sow nor reap. They made no food for the body, not even wheat, but only enough for offerings. They ate the flavorful fruit of trees that grew on the mountain where they lived. Sheth often fasted for 40 days, as did also his oldest children. The family of Sheth smelled the smell of the trees in the garden when the wind blew that way. They were happy, innocent, without sudden fear. There was no jealousy, no evil action, nor hatred among them. There was no animal passion. No one among them spoke either foul words or curse. There was neither evil intention nor fraud. The men of that time never swore, but when under hard circumstances, when men must swear, they swore by the blood of Hevel the just. But every day they compelled their children and their women to fast and pray and to worship the Most High Elohim in the cave. They baraked themselves by being near the body of their father Adham and anointed themselves, and they did so until the end of Sheth drew near. 2 Adham and YaHUaH, chapter 12. Then Sheth the just called his son Enosh, and Kehinan the son of Enosh, and Mahalalel the son of Kehinan, and said he to them, My end is near, and I wish to build a roof over the altar on which gifts are offered. They listened to his commandment, and all of them, both old and young, went out and worked hard and built a beautiful roof over the altar. And Sheth's thought was that by doing this a barakah should come upon his children on the mountain, and he thought he should present an offering for them before his death. Then, when the building of the roof was completed, he commanded them to make offerings. They worked diligently and brought them to Sheth, their father, who took them and offered them upon the altar, and prayed Elohim to accept their offerings, to have mercy on the beings of his children, and to keep them from the hand of Satan. Elohim accepted his offering and sent his barakah on him and on his children. Then Elohim made a promise to Sheth, saying, At the end of the great 5 days and a half, which is the promise I have made to you and to your father, I will send my word and save you and your seed. Then Sheth and his children and grandchildren met together and came down from the altar and went to the cave of treasures where they prayed. And he baraked them in the body of our father Adham and anointed them with it. But Sheth stayed in the cave of treasures a few days and then suffered sufferings to death. Then Enosh, his firstborn son, came to him with Cainan, his son, and Mahalalel, Cainan's son, and Yered, the son of Mahalalel, and Kanok, Yered's son, and with their wives and children to receive a barakah from Sheth. Then Sheth prayed over them, and baraked them, and earnestly requested them by the blood of Hevel the just, saying, I beg of you, my children, not to let one of you go down from this Kodesh and pure mountain. Do not associate with the children of Cain, the murderer and the sinner who killed his brother. You know, my children, that we flee from him and from all his sin with all our might, because he killed his brother Hevel. After having said this, Sheth baraked Enosh, his firstborn son, and commanded him to minister continually in purity before the body of their father Adham all the days of his life. He also made him promise to go at times to the altar which he had built, and he commanded him to feed his people in righteousness, in judgment, and in purity all the days of his life. Then Sheth's limbs went limp. His hands and feet lost all strength. His voice became silent and unable to speak, and he gave up the ghost and died. Sheth died the day after his 912th year, on the 27th day of the first month, Kanok being then 20 years old. Then they carefully wrapped up the body of Sheth, and embalmed him with sweet spices, and laid him in the cave of treasures, on the right side of our father Adham's body. And they mourned for him 40 days. They offered gifts for him, as they had done for our father Adham. After the death of Sheth, Enosh was raised to the head of his people, whom he fed in righteousness and judgment as his father had commanded him. But by the time Enosh was 820 years old, Cain had a very large number of offspring, because they married often, being given to animal lusts, until the land below the mountain was filled with them. Second, Adham and YaHUaH. Chapter 13. Lamech the blind lived in those days. He was one of the sons of Cain. He had a son whose name was Atun, and the two of them had many cattle. Lamech was in the habit of sending them to graze with a young shepherd who tended them. He was coming home in the evening when he went to his grandfather, his father Atun, and his mother Hazina, and he wept, and he said to them, I cannot feed those cattle alone, or someone may rob me of some of them, or kill me so they can take them. Because among the children of Cain there was a lot of robbery, murder, and sin. So Lamech arose, took a bow he had kept ever since he was a youth before he became blind, and he took large arrows, and smooth stones, and a sling which he had. And he went to the field with the young shepherd, and placed himself behind the cattle, while the young shepherd watched the cattle. Lamech did this for many days. Meanwhile, ever since Elohim had cast him off and had cursed him with trembling and fear, Cain could not be still nor find rest in any one place, so he wandered from place to place. In his wanderings, he came to Lamech's wives and asked them about him. They said to him, "He is in the field with the cattle." Then Cain went to look for him, and as he came into the field, the young shepherd heard the noise he made, and the cattle herding together in front of him. Then said he to Lamech, "My master, is that a wild beast or a robber?" And Lamech said to him, "Tell me where he is when he comes up." Then Lamech bent his bow, placed an arrow on it, and fitted a stone in the sling. And when Cain came out from the open country, the shepherd said to Lamech, "Shoot, behold, he is coming." Then Lamech shot at Cain with his arrow and hit him in his side. And Lamech struck him with a stone from his sling, and the stone struck his face and knocked out both his eyes. Then Cain fell dead instantly. Then Lamech and the young shepherd came up to him and found him lying on the ground. And the young shepherd said to him, "It is Cain, our grandfather, whom you have killed, my master." Then Lamech grieved in bitterness and regret, and he clapped his hands together and struck the head of the youth with his flat palm, and the youth fell as if he were dead. But Lamech thought the youth was pretending, so he took up a stone and struck him and smashed his head until he died. 2 YaHUaH and YaHUaH. Chapter 14. When Enosh was 900 years old, all the children of Sheth and of Kehanan and his firstborn with their wives and children gathered around him, asking for a barakah from him. Then he prayed over them and baraked them, and made them promise them by the blood of Hevel the just, saying to them, "Do not let even one of your children go down from this Kodesh mountain, and do not let them make friends with the children of Cain, the murderer." Then Enosh called his son Kehanan and said to him, "Look, my son, and set your heart on your people, and establish them in righteousness and in innocence, and stand ministering before the body of our father Adam all the days of your life." After this Enosh rested. He was 985 years old. Kehanan wrapped him up and laid him in the cave of treasures on the left of his father Adam and made offerings for him, following the custom of his fathers. 2 YaHUaH and YaHUaH. Chapter 15. After the death of Enosh, Kehanan led his people in righteousness and innocence, as his father had commanded him. He also continued to minister before the body of Adam in the cave of treasures. Then when he had lived 910 years, suffering and sickness came upon him. And when he was about to enter into rest, all the fathers with their wives and children came to him, and he baraked them and earnestly urged them by the blood of Hevel, the just, saying to them, "Let no one among you descend from this Kodesh mountain, and do not make friends with the children of Cain the murderer." Mahalalel, his firstborn son, received this commandment from his father, who baraked him and died. Then Mahalalel embalmed him with sweet spices and laid him in the cave of treasures with his fathers, and they made offerings for him, as was the custom of their fathers. 2 YaHUaH and YaHUaH. Chapter 16. Then Mahalalel led his people, and fed them in righteousness and innocence, and watched them to see they had no relationship with the children of Cain. He also continued in the cave of treasures, praying and ministering before the body of their father Adam, asking Elohim for mercy on himself and on his people, until he was 870 years old, when he fell sick. Then all his children gathered around him to see him, and to ask for his barakah on them all, before he left this world. Then Mahalalel arose and sat on his bed, his tears streaming down his face, and he called his eldest son Yered, who came to him. He then kissed his face and said to him, "Yered, my son, I solemnly urge you by him who made the Shamahim and earth to watch over your people, and to feed them in righteousness and in innocence, and not to let even one of them go down from this Kodesh mountain to the children of Cain, or he will perish with them. Hear, my son, there will come a great destruction upon this earth because of them. Elohim will be angry with the world and will destroy them with waters. But I also know that your children will not listen to you, and that they will go down from this mountain and have relations with the children of Kahin, and that they shall perish with them. My son, teach them and watch over them, so that no guilt will be on you because of them. Mahalalel continued, saying to his son Yared, When I die, embalm my body and lay it in the cave of treasures, by the bodies of my forefathers, then stand by my body and pray to Elohim, and take care of them, and fulfill your ministry before them, until you enter into rest yourself. Mahalalel then Barak all his children. Then he laid down on his bed and entered into rest like his fathers. But when Yared saw that his father Mahalalel was dead, he wept and grieved and embraced and kissed his hands and his feet. And so did all his children. And his children embalmed him carefully and laid him by the bodies of his fathers. Then they stood and mourned for him 40 days. 2nd Adham and YaHUaH, chapter 17. Then Yared kept his father's commandment and arose like a lion over his people. He fed them in righteousness and innocence and commanded them to do nothing without his consent. This was because he was afraid for them that they should go to the children of Kayin. He gave them orders repeatedly and continued to do so until the end of the 485th year of his life. At the end of these years, there came to him a sign. As Yared was standing like a lion before the bodies of his fathers, praying and warning his people, Satan envied him and produced a beautiful specter, because Yared would not let his children do anything without his counsel. Satan appeared to him with 30 men of his hosts, in the form of handsome men. Satan himself was the oldest and tallest among them, with a fine beard. They stood at the mouth of the cave and called out Yared, who was in the cave. He came out to them and found them looking like handsome men, full of light and very beautiful. He was in awe of their beauty and their looks, and wondered to himself whether they might not be of the children of Kayin. He said also in his heart, The children of Kayin cannot come up to the height of this mountain, and none of them are this handsome as these appear to be, and among these men there is not one of my kindred, so they must be strangers. Then Yared exchanged a greeting with them, and he said to the oldest among them, My father, tell me how you are so wonderful, and tell me who these are with you. They look to me like strange men. Then the oldest began to weep, and the rest wept with him. And he said to Yared, I am Adham, whom Elohim made first, and this is Hevel my son, who was killed by his brother Kayin, whose heart was influenced by Satan to murder. And this is my son Sheth, whom I asked YaHUaH to give me to comfort me when I no longer had Hevel. Then this one is my son Enosh, son of Sheth, and that other one is Kehanan, son of Enosh, and that other one is Mahalalel, son of Kehanan, your father. But Yared remained wondering at their appearance and at the words of the elder to him. Then the oldest said to him, Do not stand there as awe, my son. We now live in the land north of the garden, which Elohim created before the world. He would not let us live there, but placed us inside the garden, below which you are now living. After I transgressed, he made me come out of it, and I was left to live in this cave. That was when great and horrible troubles came on me. And when the time of my death drew near, I commanded my son Sheth to tend his people well, and my commandment is to be handed from one to another to the end of the generations to come. But Yared, my son, we live in beautiful regions while you live here in misery. Your father, Mahalalel, informed me that a great flood would come and overwhelm the whole earth. Therefore, my son, fearing for your sakes, I rose and took my children with me and came here to visit you and your children. I found you standing in this cave weeping, and your children scattered about this mountain in the heat and in misery. But my son, as we missed our way and came as far as this, we found other men below this mountain, who inhabit a beautiful country full of trees and of fruits and of all manner of lush green vegetation. It is like a garden. When we found them, we thought they were you, until your father Mahalalel told me they were no such thing. Now, my son, listen to my advice and go down to them, you and your children. You will rest from all this suffering you are in. If you will not go down to them, then arise, take your children, and come with us to our garden. There you shall live in our beautiful land, and you shall rest from all this trouble which you and your children are now living in." But when he heard these words from the oldest, YaHUaH was confused and went here and there. But at that moment he found none of his children. Then he answered and said to the old one, "Why have you hidden yourselves until this day?" And the oldest replied, "If your father had not told us, we would not have known it." Then YaHUaH believed his words were true. So that oldest said to YaHUaH, "Wherefore did you turn about so and so?" And he said, "I was seeking one of my children, to tell him about my going with you, and about their coming down to those about whom you have spoken to me." When the old one heard YaHUaH's intention, he said to him, "Do not worry about that right now, but come with us, and you shall see our country. If the land in which we live pleases you, we shall all return here and take your family with us. But if our country does not please you, you shall come back to your own home." And the old one urged YaHUaH to go before one of his children came to talk him out of his decision. YaHUaH then came out of the cave and went with them and among them, and they comforted him until they came to the top of the mountain of the sons of Cain. Then the old one said to one of his companions, "We have forgotten something by the mouth of the cave, and that is the chosen garment we had brought to clothe YaHUaH with." He then said to one of them, "One of you go back, and we will wait for you here until you come back. Then will we clothe YaHUaH, and he shall be like us, good, handsome, and fit to come with us into our country." Then that one went back. But when he was a short distance off, the old one called to him and said to him, "You stay there until I come up and speak to you." Then he stood still, and the old one went up to him and said to him, "One thing we forgot at the cave, it is this. We forgot to put out the lamp that burns inside the cave above the bodies that are in there. Do it and come back to us quickly." That one went, and the old one came back to his fellows and to YaHUaH. And they came down from the mountain, and YaHUaH was with them, and they stayed by a fountain of water near the houses of the children of Cain, and waited for their companion until he brought the garment for YaHUaH. Then he who went back to the cave put out the lamp and came to them, and brought an apparition with him, and showed it them. And when YaHUaH saw it too, he wondered at the beauty and grace thereof, and rejoiced in his heart, believing it was all true. But while they were staying there, 3 of them went into houses of the sons of Cain, and said to them, "Bring us today some food by the fountain of water, for us and our companions to eat." But when the sons of Cain saw them, they were in awe at them, and thought, "These men are beautiful to look at. We have never seen such before." So they rose and came with them to the fountain of water, to see their companions. They thought them so very handsome that they called aloud about their places for others to gather together and come and look at these beautiful beings. Then they gathered around them both men and women. Then the old one said to them, "We are strangers in your land. Bring us some good food and drink, and bring yourselves and your women, so we can entertain ourselves with you." When those men heard these words of the old one, every one of Cain's sons brought his wife, and another brought his daughter, and so many women came to them, everyone calling out to YaHUaH either for himself or for his wife. But when YaHUaH saw what they did, his very being wrenched itself from them, and he would not taste their food or their drink. The old one saw him as he wrenched himself from them, and said to him, "Do not be sad. I am the great elder, as you shall see me do. Do yourself in like manner." Then he spread his hands and took one of the women, and 5 of his companions did the same in front of YaHUaH, that he should do as they did. But when YaHUaH saw them doing their wickedness, he wept and said in his mind, "My fathers never acted like this." He then spread his hands and prayed with a fervent heart and with much weeping, and begged Elohim to deliver him from their hands. No sooner did YaHUaH begin to pray than the old one fled with his companions, for they could not abide in a place of prayer. Then YaHUaH turned round but could not see them, but found himself standing in the midst of the children of Cain. He then wept and said, "O Elohim, do not destroy me with this race, concerning which my fathers have warned me. For now, YaHUaH, my Elohim, I was thinking that those who appeared to me were my forefathers, but I have found them out to be devils, who lured me by way of this beautiful apparition until I believed them. But now I ask you, O Elohim, to deliver me from this race, among whom I am now staying, as you did deliver me from those devils. Send your messenger to pull me out of the middle of them. I do not have the power within myself to escape from among them." When YaHUaH had ended his prayer, Elohim sent his messenger into the middle of them, and he took YaHUaH and set him up on the mountain, and showed him the way, and he gave him wise advice, and then departed from him. 2 Adam and YaHUaH, chapter 18. The children of YaHUaH were in the habit of visiting him hour after hour, to receive his barakah, and to ask his advice for everything they did, and when he had work to do, they did it for him. But this time when they went into the cave, they did not find YaHUaH, but they found the lamp put out, and the bodies of the fathers thrown about, and voices came from them by the power of Elohim that said, "Satan in an apparition has deceived our son, wishing to destroy him, as he destroyed our son Cain." They said also, "YaHUaH, Elohim of the Shahmahim and earth, deliver our son from the hand of Satan, who produced such a great and false specter before him." They also spoke of other matters by the power of Elohim. But when the children of YaHUaH heard these voices, they feared, and stood weeping for their father, because they did not know what had happened to him. And they wept for him that day until the setting of the sun. Then YaHUaH come with a mournful expression, miserable in mind and body, and sorrowful at having been separated from the bodies of his fathers. But as he came near the cave, his children saw him, and ran to the cave, and hugged his neck, crying and saying to him, "O Father, where have you been, and why have you left us, because we know you did not want to?" And they spoke again, saying, "Father, when you disappeared, the lamp over the bodies of our fathers went out, and the bodies were thrown about, and voices came from them." When YaHUaH heard this, he was sorry, and went into the cave, and there found the bodies thrown about, the lamp put out, and the fathers themselves praying for his deliverance from the hand of Satan. Then YaHUaH fell upon the bodies and embraced them, and said, "My fathers, through your intercession, Elohim delivered me from the hand of Satan. I beg you to ask Elohim to keep me and to hide me from him to the day of my death." Then all the voices ceased, except the voice of our father Adam, who spoke to YaHUaH by the power of Elohim, just as one would speak to his friend, saying, "YaHUaH, my son, offer gifts to Elohim for having delivered you from the hand of Satan. And when you bring those offerings, offer them on the same altar on which I gave offerings. Even then you must beware of Satan, for he deluded me many a time with his specters, wishing to destroy me, but Elohim delivered me out of his hand. Command your people that they be on their guard against him, and never cease to offer up gifts to Elohim." Then the voice of Adam also became silent, and YaHUaH and his children wondered at this. Then they laid the bodies as they were at first, and YaHUaH and his children stood praying the entire night until break of day. Then YaHUaH made an offering and offered it up on the altar as Adam had commanded him. And as he went up to the altar, he prayed to Elohim for mercy and for forgiveness of his sin concerning the lamp going out. Then Elohim appeared to YaHUaH on the altar, and barak him and his children, and accepted their offerings, and commanded YaHUaH to take of the Kodesh fire from the altar, and light the lamp that shed light on the body of Adam. 2nd Adham and YaHUaH, chapter 19. Then Elohim again revealed to him the promise he had made to Adham. He explained to him the 5,500 years and revealed to him the mystery of his ban coming to the earth. And Elohim said to YaRed, "Let that fire you have taken from the altar to light the lamp abide with you to give light to the bodies. Do not let it come out of the cave until the body of Adham comes out, but YaRed take care of the fire so that it burns brightly in the lamp. Do not go out of the cave again until you received an order through a vision, and not in an apparition you see. Then command your people again not to have relations with the children of Cain, and not to learn their ways, for I am Elohim who does not love hatred and works of iniquity." Elohim also gave many other commandments to YaRed, and he barak him, and then withdrew his word from him. Then YaRed came near to his children, took some fire, and came down to the cave and lighted the lamp in front of the body of Adham. Then he gave his people the commandments just as Elohim had told him to do. This sign happened to YaRed at the end of his 450th year, as did many other wonders we did not record. But we record only this one for the sake of brevity to shorten our written account. And YaRed continued to teach his children 80 years, but after that they began to break the commandments he had given them and to do many things without his permission. They began to go down from the Kodesh mountain one after another and mix with the children of Cain in obscene association. Now the reason the children of YaRed went down the Kodesh mountain will now be revealed to you. 2nd Adham and YaHUaH, chapter 20. After Cain had gone down to the land of dark soil, and his children had multiplied, there was one of them, whose name was Gainun, son of Lamech the blind, who slew Cain. Satan came to Gainun in his childhood, and made a variety of trumpets and horns and string instruments, cymbals and psalteries, and lyres and harps and flutes. And Gainun played them at all times and at every hour. And when he played them, Satan came to them, so that from among them were heard beautiful and sweet sounds that seized the heart with delight. Then he gathered many crowds to play on them, and when they played it greatly pleased the children of Cain, who fanned themselves to flames of sin among themselves, and they burned with fire, while Satan inflamed their hearts with one another, and lust increased among them. Satan also taught Gainun to make strong drink out of corn. Gainun used this to bring together crowd upon crowd in houses of drink, and brought into their hands all kinds of fruits and flowers, and they drank together. Gainun did this to multiply sin greatly. He also acted with pride, and taught the children of Cain to commit all manner of the grossest wickedness which they did not know until then, and he put them up to all kinds of deeds which they did not know of before. Then, when Satan saw that they obeyed Gainun and listened to him in everything he told them, he rejoiced greatly, and he increased Gainun's understanding until he took iron and with it made weapons of war. Then when they were drunk, hatred and murder increased among them. One man would use violence against another, and Satan would teach him evil, in that one man would take the other man's children and defile them before him. And when men saw they were vanquished, and saw that others were not beaten, those who were beaten came to Gainun and took refuge with him, and he made them part of his group. Then sin increased among them greatly, until a man married his own sister or daughter or mother and others, or the daughter of his father's sister, so that there was no more distinction of relationship, and they could no longer discern what was sin and what was not, but always were wicked, and the earth was defiled with sin, and they angered Elohim the judge, who had created them. But Gainun gathered together groups and groups that played on horns and on all the other instruments we have already mentioned at the foot of the Kodesh mountain. They did that so the children of Sheth, who were on the Kodesh mountain, would hear it. But when the children of Sheth heard the noise, they wondered, and came by companies and stood on the top of the mountain to look at those below. This went on an entire year. At the end of that year, Gainun saw that they were being won over to him little by little. Satan entered into him and taught him to make the elements for dyeing garments of various patterns, and made him understand how to dye crimson and purple and whatnot. And the sons of Cain who worked at all of this shone in beauty and gorgeous apparel. And they gathered together at the foot of the mountain in splendor with horns and gorgeous dresses and horse races, and they were committing all manner of disgusting acts. Meanwhile, the children of Sheth, who were on the Kodesh mountain, prayed and praised Elohim in the place of the hosts of messengers who had fallen. Elohim had called them messengers, because he rejoiced over them greatly. But after this time, they no longer kept his commandment, nor were held by the promise he had made to their fathers, but they relaxed from their fasting and praying, and from the counsel of YaRUaH their father. And they kept on gathering together on the top of the mountain to watch the children of Cain from morning until evening. And they watched what they did, and they looked at their beautiful dresses and ornaments. Then the children of Cain looked up from below and saw the children of Sheth standing in numbers on the top of the mountain, and they called to them to come down to them. But from above them the children of Sheth said, "We don't know the way." Then Gainun, the son of Lamech, heard them say they did not know the way, and he began to think to himself of ways he might bring them down. Then Satan appeared to him by night, saying, "There is no way for them to come down from the part of the mountain on which they live, but when they come out tomorrow, say to them, 'Come to the western side of the mountain.' There you will find a stream of water that comes down to the foot of the mountain between two hills. That marks the way. Come down that way to us." Then when it was day, Gainun blew the horns and beat the drums below the mountain as he was accustomed to do. The children of Sheth heard it and came as they used to do. Then Gainun said to them from down below, "Go to the western side of the mountain. There you will find the way to come down." But when the children of Sheth heard these words from him, they went back into the cave to YaRUaH to tell him all they had heard. Then when YaRUaH heard it, he was grieved because he knew that they would defy his wishes. After this, 100 men of the children of Sheth gathered together and said among themselves, "Come, let us go down to the children of Cain and see what they do and enjoy ourselves with them." But when YaRUaH heard this of the 100 men, his very being was moved, and his heart was grieved. He then stood with great emotion in the middle of them, and earnestly compelled them by the blood of Hevel the just, and said, "Let no one of you go down from this Kodesh and pure mountain, in which our fathers have ordered us to live." But when YaRUaH saw that they did not listen to his words, he said to them, "My good, innocent, and Kodesh children, you must understand that once you go down from this Kodesh mountain, Elohim will not allow you to return to it again." He again adjured them, saying, "I plead with you by the death of our father Adam, and by the blood of Hevel, of Sheth, of Enosh, of Kehinan, and of Mahalalel to listen to me. Do not go down from this Kodesh mountain, because the moment you leave it, life and mercy will be taken from you. And you shall no longer be called children of Elohim, but children of the devil." But they would not listen to his words. Cain was already grown up at that time, and in his zeal for Elohim, he stood and said, "Hear me, you large and small sons of Sheth. When you transgress the commandment of our fathers and go down from this Kodesh mountain, you shall not come up here again forever." But they rose up against Cain and would not listen to his words, but they went down from the Kodesh mountain. And when they looked at the daughters of Cain, at their beautiful figures, and at their hands and feet dyed with color, and the tattoos on their faces that ornamented them, the fire of sin was set ablaze in them. Then Satan made them look most beautiful before the sons of Sheth, as he also made the sons of Sheth appear the most handsome in the eyes of the daughters of Cain, so that the daughters of Cain lusted after the sons of Sheth like ravenous beasts, and the sons of Sheth lusted after the daughters of Cain until they committed disgusting and disgraceful acts with them. But after they had fallen into this defilement, they returned by the way they had come and tried to ascend the Kodesh mountain, but they could not, because the stones of that Kodesh mountain were on fire flashing before them, and prevented them so that they could not go up again. And Elohim was angry with them, and turned from them because they had come down from splendor, and because of this had lost and forsaken their own purity and innocence, and were fallen into the defilement of sin. Then Elohim sent his word to YaRUaH, saying, These of your children, whom you once called my children, have broken my commandment, and have gone down to the house of damnation and sin. Send a messenger to those that are left, so that they will not go down and be lost. Then YaRUaH wept before YaHUaH, and asked him for mercy and forgiveness. But he wished that his being might depart from his body, rather than hear these words from Elohim about his children that went down from the Kodesh mountain. But he followed Elohim's order, and preached to them not to go down from that Kodesh mountain, and not to hold relations with the children of Kahin. But they did not listen to his message, and they would not obey his advice. 2nd Adam and YaHUaH. Chapter 21. After this, another group gathered together and went to look after their brothers, but they perished with them as well. And so it was, company after company, until only a few of them remained. Then YaRUaH was sickened with grief, and his sickness was such that the day of his death was near. Then he called Kanach his eldest son, and Methuselah Kanach's son, and Lamech the son of Methuselah, and Noah the son of Lamech. And when they came to him, he prayed over them and bahrach them, and said to them, You are righteous, innocent sons. Do not go down from this Kodesh mountain, because you have seen your children and your children's children have gone down from this Kodesh mountain, and have alienated themselves from this Kodesh mountain through their reprehensible lust and transgression of Elohim's commandment. But I know, through the power of Elohim, that he will not leave you on this Kodesh mountain. Your children have transgressed his commandment, and that of our fathers, which we had received from them. But my sons, Elohim will take you to a strange land, and you never shall return to see this garden and this Kodesh mountain with your own eyes once again. Therefore, my sons, set your hearts on your own selves, and keep the commandment of Elohim which is with you. And when you go from this Kodesh mountain into a strange land which you do not know, take the body of our father Adam with you, and with it take these 3 precious gifts and offerings, namely the gold, the incense, and the myrrh, and let them be in the place where the body of our father Adam shall lay. And my sons, of you who are left, the word of Elohim will come, and when he goes out of this land, he shall take with him the body of our father Adam, and shall lay it in the middle of the earth, the place in which deliverance shall be worked out. Then Noah said to him, Who is he of us that shall be left? And YaRUaH answered, You are he that shall be left, and you shall take the body of our father Adam from the cave, and place it with you in the ark when the flood comes. And your son Shem, who shall come out of your loins, it is he who shall lay the body of our father Adam in the middle of the earth, in the place where salvation shall come. Then YaRUaH turned to his son Kanach and said to him, My son, abide in this cave and minister diligently before the body of our father Adam all the days of your life, and feed your people in righteousness and innocence. And YaRUaH said no more. His hands went limp, his eyes closed, and he entered into rest like his fathers. His death took place in the 360th year of Noah, and in the 989th year of his own life, on the 12th of 9th month, on a 6th day. But as YaRUaH died, tears streamed down his face by reason of his great sorrow for the children of Sheth who had fallen in his days. Then Kanach, Methuselah, Lamech, and Noah, these 4, wept over him, embalmed him carefully, and then laid him in the cave of treasures. Then they rose and mourned for him 40 days, and when these days of mourning were ended, Kanach, Methuselah, Lamech, and Noah remained in sorrow of heart, because their father had departed from them and could not see him again. Second Adham and YaHUaH. Chapter 22. Kanok kept the commandment of Yared his father and continued to minister in the cave. Many wonders happened to this man, Kanok, and he also wrote a celebrated book, but those wonders may not be told in this place. Then after this, the children of Sheheth, as well as their children and their wives, went astray and fell. And when Kanok, Methuselah, Lamech, and Noach saw them, their hearts suffered because of their fall, which filled them with doubt and unbelief. And they wept and sought of Elohim mercy to preserve them and to bring them out of that wicked generation. Kanok continued in his ministry before YaHUaH 385 years, and at the end of that time he became aware through the grace of Elohim that Elohim intended to remove him from the earth. He then said to his son, "O my son, I know that Elohim intends to bring the waters of the flood on the earth and destroy his creation. And you are the last rulers over the people on this mountain, and I know that not one will be left for you to have children on this Kodesh mountain. Not one of you will rule over the children of his people. No great number of you will be left on this mountain." Kanok also said to them, "Watch over your beings and hold tight to your fear of Elohim and your service to him, and worship him in righteous faith, and serve him in righteousness, innocence, and judgment. Worship him in repentance and in purity." When Kanok had ended his commandments to them, Elohim transported him from that mountain to the land of Kai, to the mansions of the righteous and of the chosen ones, which is the abode of paradise of joy, in light that reaches up to the Shahmayim. It is the light that is beyond the light of this world. It is the light of Elohim that fills the whole world and no place can contain. Kanok was in the light of Elohim, and because of this he found himself out of the grasp of death until Elohim would have him die. Altogether, not one of our fathers or of their children remained on that Kodesh mountain, except those three: Methuselah, Lamech, and Noach. All the rest went down from the mountain and fell into sin with the children of Cain, and they were forbidden to come back to that mountain. And none remained on it but those three men.